Dual screen action cameras seem to be the norm these days, offering colour displays both front and rear. Some even take it a step further with touch sensitivity thrown in too, although if you're after something a little more wallet friendly, this could be ideal. The XTU MAX 2. Not only does the unit come packed with a dual screen display as well as a rather impressive spec sheet for that matter, on initial inspection it feels like we've gone back a few years, back to the waterproof housing design of the past. Although I rarely use these cameras underwater anyways, I'm used to the all-in-one ruggedized design of the competition nowadays. Although saying that, the case does make the unit waterproof up to 30 meters for that odd spot of holiday diving. We have 3 pass-through buttons for camera operation, as well as a standard finger mount on the bottom, providing compatibility with the hugely successful GoPro mounting ecosystem, for which you do receive a rather generous array of mounts and accessories in the package, even an external USB-C microphone in fact. Nevertheless, the clip at the top feels robust with a two-way releasing mechanism, revealing the camera within. With the typical action camera matchbox type design that's become the norm, the MAX 2 feels solid and robust in the hand. In fact, even in this form outside of the waterproof case, the entire body is still waterproof, albeit only to 5 meters, but perfectly adequate for some general water-based activities. A frame housing is even included to make mounting even easier in such cases too, complete with an integrated cold shoe mount on the top, a rather handy little addition. Behind the circular lens housing then, we have an Ambarella H22 chipset coupled with a Sony IMX577 image sensor, a solid combination, working together to provide video capture at 4K resolution up to 60 frames per second. In fact, 6K at 30 is even an option, although we'll see how that fares shortly. Better still, the lens cover is removable, so can be replaced if damaged, or even with ND filters if needed. Otherwise, also on the front is the 1.4-inch LCD color display, which we'll come back to in just a moment, alongside a front-facing microphone just above the branding. On the side, a built-in speaker, and just beneath, a slide-to-open door reveals the unit's USB-C charge and sync port, as well as a micro HDMI port for direct output and playback to external displays. Notice how the inside of the door though is completely coated with a rubberized finish, much better than the thin gasket we see on competing models. This is replicated on the second sliding door under the unit, revealing the unit's removable 1550 mAh battery, which the manufacturer states is rated for around 180 minutes usage, believe it or not. That's most probably at the lowest capture settings though, so we'll need to see how that fares later. Also alongside the battery is the unit's microSD memory card slot, with a 64GB memory card being pre-inserted and supplied with the camera, another nice added bonus. Anyways, on the final side we find the power and mode buttons, with the final button controlling the camera's shutter being on the top alongside a second microphone pinhole. Finally, on the rear, alongside power and status LEDs is a 2-inch touch-sensitive LCD display, which is pretty much the norm with action cameras of this size and shape. When powered, it provides a live view, along with other useful data around the edges, such as current mode, recording time remaining, battery levels, and so on, all pretty standard stuff. The screen itself is adequately bright, not the best out there, but still easy enough to use under daylight, so there's no real issue there. For a budget unit, it's actually pretty decent. Note that although the unit sports a dual screen design, unlike GoPro or DJI cameras, you can only have one screen active at any one time, so it's a matter of switching to the screen you need as and when you need it. Fortunately, it's as simple as a long press of the mode button on the side of the camera. And while this also provides some basic information across the top and bottom edges, note that the front display is not touch sensitive, so when it comes to changing settings, it's another long press of the side mode button to switch back to the rear touch screen again. Talking of settings then, they're all pretty easy to access and change thanks to that touch sensitivity. Swipe down from the top to enter the connection settings where we can enable the built-in wireless. Otherwise we have the current active shooting mode, time and battery status across the top, zoom controls on the side for toggling the unit's digital zoom, playback menu on the left, and all the main controls across the bottom where we can either tap or swipe up from the bottom to access all the shooting modes, whether video or photo. There's a lot to choose from here too, even a car dashcam mode. Once chosen, swipe in from the right to access all of the options for the current active mode, such as the resolution, where the options range from 720 all the way up to 6K. There's even a 4K 4x3 mode which provides 16% extra vertical visual field for choosing between portrait and landscape output in post. Otherwise, there's all the other common settings here: exposure, ISO, sharpness, all the standard stuff, as well as a pre-record option too, which you don't usually find on budget cameras like this. Finally, the last icon provides access to general camera settings that will affect the camera across all modes, such as date and time, tones and alerts, and so on, all standard stuff. So all in all, we have all the main action camera modes and settings we'd expect, even a built-in gyro with software stabilization, as well as the ability to use external stabilization software like Gyroflow too. The menu system is well structured and simple to use thanks to that touchscreen sensitivity, which can be a little erratic at times though. Of course, we do have wireless connectivity too, and once connected to the XTU Go app, we receive a live preview of what the camera sees. And to be fair, there's little noticeable lag between the camera and the app. For lining up your shot, it does the job perfectly well. Nevertheless, we can use the app to switch between shooting modes, as well as enter the settings for each mode, and all the general camera settings and options, everything you'd find on the camera itself, quick and easy. Better still, you can still use the camera's live preview while connected to the app, although you can't change any settings or options. The app kinda takes over for that, although if you have the app connected, you'll likely change settings there anyways, so it's not really an issue. On the whole, connectivity was perfectly stable throughout my testing, no issues there at all, providing for a nice simple way to remotely control the camera. When it comes to actual performance then, it's actually pretty decent there too, thanks to that Sony IMX577 sensor, which puts it on par somewhere around the GoPro Hero 9 or 10 era. In daylight recording, it can provide some good footage for its relatively low price of entry, but saying that, even with some level of dynamic range, it can struggle when footage goes from dark to light. Yes, it does go right up to 6K, but honestly I don't see the benefit. It'll burn through the battery, heat up the camera, and it's more difficult to work with in post, so I feel that's more a marketing gimmick than being of actual real world use. Stabilization is available and does a pretty decent job in smoothing out your footage, although it's nowhere near as good as GoPro's Hypersmooth, DJI's Rocksteady or Insta360's Flow State, but it's enough to get the job done on a budget. Exposure and dynamic range are okay, but can get a little annoying at times as it'll lose contrast in shaded areas. Talking of lighting conditions, capturing video under low light is a no-go, but most action cameras suffer from the same issue due to the small sensors packed into a tight physical frame. All in all, performance is kind of mid-range, anything more professional level, and you'd probably want to look for a higher class camera, which obviously means increasing your budget too. Saying that, if you need to capture good audio alongside video, this isn't the camera for you. I struggle to even get a sample since it would just cut out for no apparent reason, so reliability on the audio front is a real issue. As a complete package though, the XTU MAX 2 is a nice little camera with good battery life, even though it carries a dual screen display. That probably comes down to only one screen being active at any one time, which does make sense considering you'd only ever be looking at one in the first instance. The hardware does feel robust, actually it feels quite premium to be fair, and the video capture quality is pretty good too, well for its current price point anyways. Although audio quality is lacking, so if you're looking to capture some vlogging with audio for instance, you may want to look elsewhere. On the other hand, if your intention is for capturing B-roll footage without risking your expensive camera setup, then the XTU MAX 2 with its pretty generous package could be worth a look.